Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a project pan get ready with me. So what that means is I am going to be getting ready on camera today, and I'm going to be getting ready using products that are in my 3 project pans that I currently have going on. I have a rolling 5-pan project pan where I work on 5 products at a time until I finish them, and as I finish those products, I roll new products in. I also have a Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan where I randomly select 5 eyeshadows to work on until I hit pan, and then once I hit pan, I randomly select new eyeshadows to put in. And then I also have a Shop My Stash project pan, and so this is just very similar to a typical Shop My Stash where I go through my collection on about a monthly basis and pull out products that I'd like to focus on for that month. Why I consider that a project pan is because if I select a product, I need to use it at least 5 times before I roll it out during the next Shop My Stash rotation. And so it's more of like a usage style, just to make sure that I'm not pulling products in and then only using them once. I need to use them at least 5 times, and then I can switch them out when I do my next selection, which I will be doing in the next video, so stay tuned for that. Honestly, a lot of the products that I use on a pretty regular basis are coming from those project pans, and so on probably every other month, maybe a little bit less frequent, I like to film these project pan get ready with me so you can see how all of the products that I am panning kind of work in conjunction. So if that's of interest to you, please keep watching. Alrighty, I don't have any primers that I'm currently working on, and honestly I kind of go back and forth on the primer thing. I feel like in general I don't see as much value as some other people do in primers, which I think is totally fine. Everyone has different thoughts about things. I am gonna put on this little lip balm called Awake. It's by, well, maybe the brand is Awake Lip Therapy. I don't know. Just to deal with a little bit of the chapped I feel like I'm having with my lips. So I'm working on 2 foundations right now. One is my Oma Beauty foundation, which is in my 5-pan rolling style project pan. And then I also rolled my Smashbox Studio Skin Full Coverage foundation into my Shop My Stash project pan. And I have been pairing these together as I look for a brush a lot because this one is clearly way too dark for my skin. But I do want to keep using it because it is in my project pan while I can. I think at some point I'm going to have to stop or start self-tanning. But wearing these 2 together I think has been okay and not too terrible of a match, at least from what I can tell. So what I do is just kind of do a half pump or a little bit less of the Oma foundation, and then just a little squeeze of the Smashbox foundation. And then I mix them on the back of my hand, make a little foundation concoction. I will say the Smashbox foundation, a little bit goes a long way. So I'm creating what I think is feels like a pretty full coverage mix, which sometimes I'm just not in the mood to do. But it's been working, I'd say, for the most part. I also like to have a reusable cotton round and some of my micellar water on hand just to clean my fingers and my hand off throughout doing my makeup, because I feel like I'm always getting makeup on my fingers. And then especially when I do my concoction, I'm definitely getting foundation on the back of my hand. So just gonna take my brush and spend some time blending this all out. Okay, we're pretty well blended, and so next I'm going to grab my eyelid primer. This is from the brand Pretty Vulgar. I think it came in a BoxyCharm, and I've been using this since I finished up my Morphe one. And put this on my lids. I honestly cannot believe that it is the end of October already. It is so crazy how fast this year has gone by. First of all, my son turns 2 in January, which is just how have you been here for 2 years? I don't understand. I feel like he just got here, but I also can't imagine my life without him, so I feel like that's a little bit confusing and strange just on its own, but that I guess is just life, which is wild. And then I've also been thinking a lot recently just about my goals that I set for the year, and I'm I don't know how well I'm doing on those. Next, I'm taking my Bye Bye Porous Press Powder by IT Cosmetics. I'm not going to show you the inside of it because we are very close to being done. and I don't want to spoil it for my next project pan update. So I'm just gonna use this without showing you what the pan looks like. But I like to set my whole face, including my lids, with this. Although it is getting a little hard to pick up on my brush. And I haven't honestly looked back at my goals. Like, I know I had goals for YouTube, which I've hit one of them, not the second. And I know that I had goals for the amount of books I want to read, which I like haven't read a book in the last couple months. I did a lot of reading towards the beginning of the year and then kind of it stopped. So I need to get back on the reading train to hit that goal. I know I wanted to run several races, which I've run 4 races, one of them being a 7.5 mile race, which is crazy for me at least. And I ran the whole thing, which I'm like so thrilled about. So there's been like some positives there. And actually this past weekend, I ran a 5K and got my PR personal record out of like every 5K I've ever done. So like that's super exciting as well. And I will say a testament to like the work that I've been putting in Orange Theory, because that's definitely helped me with my running endurance. And then there's just like some other goals that I feel like I haven't hit. Like one of them is like go somewhere new. That's like always one of my goals. And like we did 3 vacations this year, but all 3 of them were to places we've been before. And so I'm like trying to figure out how in the last like 2 months of the year we get somewhere new, even if it's just a day trip. Like I just want to be able to cross that off my list. So I need to figure that out and find somewhere to go. Let me keep going with the makeup. So I'm gonna move on to my eyes. I'm pulling from my So Jaded ColourPop palette, and I'm taking Your Gem, which I just rolled into my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan, and I'm gonna put this in my crease. But yeah, so I feel like I put like a lot of pressure on myself to be like reaching these goals that I set, but then I also have a lot of other things going on that maybe I didn't necessarily set as a goal, but have been like really positive things to happen that I've worked really hard for. So I don't know, I want to be able to cross as many goals off that list as possible, but I also feel like I have 2 months left in the year and like some of it might be a little bit unrealistic to be able to do. So I don't know if any of you are kind of going through that same struggle, or if you've kind of forgotten about the goals that you set at the beginning of the year, which I've definitely done that before as well. But in my January reset video, I actually went through and wrote down a bunch of goals in my planner so I can kind of come back and look at them. And so I have a pretty good idea of like what they look like. I looked at them, I think like this summer, but I don't look at them on a regular basis, and maybe that's something I need to do more of. But anyways, I am now working with the shade Garnet from this palette. This is also in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan, and I am just placing that all over the lid and then blending it up into that Your Gem shade. And I'm using the same brush that I was using before, which I probably should switch brushes, but I like how this one kind of diffuses the color, so it keeps it a bit lighter, so we're just gonna keep using this one. Okay, next I am going to pick up my ABH Jackie Aina palette, and I'm gonna grab this shade right here called Sponsored. I'm just gonna put this on my finger, and I'm gonna place this all over the lid. So pretty much everywhere we put that Garnet shade, I'm gonna put this on top. I feel like the Garnet shade really works well with the Sponsored color, and like, I don't know if it makes it pop is the right way to describe it, but I just feel like they blend really well together and it creates like a really fun shade that I like. Okay, now that that shade's laid down, I'm gonna go back into my ColourPop palette and pick up Your Gem and just blend that a little bit into the crease where Sponsored is hitting there, just so we have a little bit more of a blend. And next I'm going to pick up my eyeshadow from my Shop My Stash. I always like to put a single shadow into my Shop My Stash so they don't get ignored. Although they're in my Pan Those Eyeshadows spreadsheet, I feel like I rarely select them. I don't know, my random selector does not usually pull one of my single shadows in, and so I feel like they don't get as much love as maybe my palettes do, and so I like to try and put at least one of them in my Shop My Stash project pan on like a regular basis. Anyway, so I'm working on NARS Dion, and I'm just gonna place this kind of right in the center of my lid and just blend it out a little bit on top of Sponsored. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my eyes right there for right now, and I'm gonna pick up my Fenty Beauty bronzer, which is in my 5-pan rolling style project pan, and I repressed this and we're re-hitting pan on this one, so super excited about the progress here. I think a few of you commented in my last like project pan video like you might hit or finish that like sooner than you think, and I think now that I'm seeing the progress on it that all of you are right and I was just wrong. And being a little bit too pessimistic on this one. I was thinking that it was going to take a long time still, but over the past month or so I feel like a lot of progress has been made, or at least I'm seeing more progress, which makes me happy. It's nice to like actually see it versus, you know, it could be happening but you don't see anything. So anyways, I am going to just bronze up my face as I normally do. Bring it down the neck and onto the ears. After bronzer, I'm going to hit some blush. And so the blush that I have right now is one that's in my Shop My Stash rotation. This is Ciate London Marbled Light Blush in the shade Dusk. So I really like this one. I think it's super pretty. So I'm just gonna pick it up and put it on my cheekers. Also love to do over the nose with blush. So the 30th of October is actually my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. And so this past weekend, my brother and I wanted to plan something special. We both have young children and just kind of wanted to do something fun with all of us and the kiddos. And so we planned this little like scavenger hunt type thing where I wrote these poems that were clues and my parents read them, and then we would go to different places and have a drink or a nap, and then we ended up at a nice place for dinner. And so it was super fun and they were totally surprised. I told them that I had a Halloween party, and so my brother and his wife and their baby showed up at my parents' house because they were planning on staying there just to like visit and hang out. And then my mom was like, oh, you should come, your brother's gonna be there. And I was like, oh, I have this party, I'm not gonna make it. But really we were going because we were planning this surprise. And so we walked in with like flowers and balloons and champagne, and they were totally shocked because they're trying to plan like a trip for their 40th. And so they were so focused on that, they didn't even think that like we would do something for them. So they were totally surprised and really, really appreciative, which was awesome. I'm sitting here with like my highlight open and ready to go. So this is my Becca highlighter in the shade Champagne Pop. Pretty decent sized pan in this. So I'm just gonna pick this up and put it on the high points of my cheeks and the tip of my nose and my Cupid's bow. But yeah, it was just really special and they were just so happy, and it just made my brother and I feel really good, as well as like our spouses. So it's just really great that we could do that for them. And yeah, I'm very happy that it all worked out because I was a little stressed there planning it, but it ended up being such a wonderful day and they just absolutely loved it. So it was really good. I am now going to finish my eyes. So I am going to grab a liner. This is in my Shop My Stash liner. This is the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Colored Pencil in the shade Ivy. It's this really pretty like plum purple color. And so I'm just gonna line my waterline with this. I love this liner, it's so nice. And then I'm going to pick up a smaller brush and grab my So Jaded again and pick up Garnet, and I'm going to smudge out the lower lash line with that. Next, I'm gonna go into my Jaclyn Hill Morphe Volume 2 palette and pick up the shade Positivity and just lay this up along my crease a little bit. This shade has been very, very slow moving for me because I barely dip into it. But that, I like to wear it like that. And then I also like to sometimes just help with the blend, so I grab my Precious and I just use that to blend out any like harsh edges. For my inner corner highlight, I'm going back into my Morphe Volume 2 and I'm picking up the shade I'm In It. This is not in either of my, or any of my project pans actually, but I'm very close to hitting pan on it, and so I have been using it pretty regularly, almost as like a side project pan, because I don't have like an inner corner highlight shade in my pan, those eyeshadows, and so I've just been kind of working away on this, hoping to hit pan on that, which will help my eyeshadow pan percentage. All right, next I'm going to set my face before I do my brows, and mascara and lips. And so I'm gonna be using my Milani Make It Last as well as my Patrick Ta fan. So here we go. And I like to just dry it with my fan. Okay, so brows and mascara honestly are not represented within any of my project pans. I'm gonna be using my ABH Brow Freeze on my brows, and then right now I'm currently working on my Essence Lash Princess and then also a Clinique lower lash. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my lashes and my brows, and then I'll be back to finish with my lips. So for lips, I'm going to first start with my Beauty Vault lip liner in the shade Cozy Kira. I've actually already sharpened this, I think, twice this month, so like super excited about that because I do not use lip liners all that often, but I have been making like a pretty big effort with this one, I feel like, so excited to kind of see some of that happen for me with this. And then on top of that, I am going to dab my, oh, and this is in my like regular 5-pan project pan, and then my Maybelline Divine Wine lipstick is in my Shop My Stash. So I'm just going to dab this on and then use my finger to blend it out. And I've worn this just like totally on its own where it's been like more matte, but I also like layering it with my lip gloss, which is my Carli Bybel Il Makiage lip gloss in the shade Twilight. That's in my Shop My Stash project pan. I feel like this really just adds like a fun element because of the glitters. Like you can even just see right there. And I feel like it kind of even like tones down the Divine Wine. So I've been really enjoying doing that. So this is the final look for a full face of project panning items. I hope you all enjoyed this video and just kind of getting to see how all of the products that I'm currently panning or working on in a project pan kind of play together. It's not obviously every single thing that I have in my project pans, but it's like a lot of them, and I like to kind of switch up which ones I'm working on. So I hope all of you enjoyed getting to see this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.